What am I doing on the mic? Singing. Hello and welcome to the channel. This is dev.log and we are logged in. Okay, so if you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. More specifically, if you are someone that is interested in me and my experiences as a software developer, I think this channel is just for you. Today, I just want to talk about how I graduated for a national diploma in software development. And firstly, I just have to say, in high school, I actually failed my matric. In fact, I failed my matric with dismal results. To be honest, I already knew that I was going to fail because I didn't even know how I actually got there in the first place. Honestly, I never really even paid much attention to my classes. The only time I would pay attention is for those select few classes that I personally enjoyed. I was just going with the wind basically. In fact, the only subjects that I truly enjoyed in high school were geography, physical science. Even though I wasn't good at physical science, I still enjoyed it. And CAT, which is computer application technology. That was one of my all-time favorites back in high school because they basically taught you how to type with the computer, work with stuff such as Word documents, not necessarily work with it, but sort of get at the idea of what those applications do. And that's why I actually enjoyed it.
The idea of just sitting in front of a computer, clicking, typing.
It was just fun for me. I don't know why. It was just fun. I honestly also enjoyed maths, but I was just not good at it at all. In fact, when it comes to math was like the only subject from primary all the way through to varsity that I actually passed with the minimal required mark. That's just how bad I am at maths. Come to think about it, the only meaningful and enjoyable time I had during high school was either during breaks or after school. And after school was the best time for me because that was the time I would spend at the arcades. I would spend a tremendous amount of time at the arcades just playing King of Fighters 2000, taking on challenges. That was the only best time I enjoyed when I think about high school. So after failing matric, I basically took a gap year, to try and figure myself out and make sense of things, make sense of what I was trying to achieve in terms of goals and, just being a success when I look at myself. And after that year ended, I still didn't know what to do with myself. In terms of learning, in terms of education, work, I just didn't know what to do or where to go. I was just lost. So that 1 year basically ended up being 2 years due to ignorance on my part and late registration. So in 2011, I basically went to register for a national certificate vocational course at a TVET college close to where I lived at the time. That national certificate, vocational certificate, being basically an equivalent to a matric certificate. So you can kind of say I was trying to make amends for my past errors and mistakes. In my mind, I had the idea to register for a graphic design course. I knew that I was good at drawing and I actually enjoy messing around with anything that is technology. So graphic design sort of felt like the right choice for me at the time. So to my fortune, graphic design was actually filled with students that there was no more space. And I remember the lady that was assisting me at the time did say to me, okay, graphic design is filled, but what we do have is still some more space in the IT course. And immediately, because I knew that IT was information technology, the first thing that clicked in my head was
technology.
And I was like,
okay, yeah, that's it. I'm definitely going to register for that. That's what I want to register for.
and I registered for information technology. In the first few weeks of college, I remember we entered the computer labs for the first time, and me being my first experience, seeing so many computers in there, I was just stunned. I was like, why is there so many computers in here? And immediately it kind of felt like the right environment for me. At that point, it just felt awesome to be in a room filled with so many computers, printers, and stuff like that. I don't know why, I can't explain it. It was just feeling right for me, if I can say it like that. College was the first place where I wrote my first Hello World program in a programming language known as visualbasic.net. I was so ecstatic to write that line. It was like I was just being introduced into an entirely different world. And my mind just got flooded with all these ideas of how these arcade machines that I enjoyed playing was sort of made, how all the console gaming that I enjoyed was sort of programmed. Like, I got a basic idea of what it is I'm going to be doing there, or I was going to be doing there. First year was awesome. In fact, I enjoyed every single module that I did except for maths. Okay. That was the only module that I did not enjoy. And even though first year was that great, I actually failed my second year because of programming, the subject that I enjoyed so much. I failed it because it was one of the core subjects of the course. The problem was that I actually had a really hard time understanding the more intermediate to advanced features of the programming language, which was visualbasic.net. And that was one of my main struggles for second year. So because of the advanced concepts such as your arrays, your classes and objects, my second year final exam, almost everything that I had typed in the IDE was basically just underlined with that red squiggly line to basically symbolize that,
dude, you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Keep in mind, I'm in second year at the time, and my screen was basically red. So even though I failed second year, I learned, I improved, and I basically focused more on those intermediate to more advanced core features of the language. And I actually passed my second year on my second try because of that effort. So I basically put in the required hours that I needed to put in order for me to advance my skills, in order for me to better myself, in order for me to be improved in terms of how I coded and in terms of what I understood about coding and programming. And after that, third year was basically a breeze because now I had advanced myself to such a level that I understood everything that I needed to learn. Even though I had to learn JavaScript on my own, I still passed, which was awesome, an achievement in its own. The rain, the rain, the rain. So it basically took me 4 years to complete a 3-year course to obtain a national certificate, vocational certificate, which is the exact equivalent to a matric certificate. So essentially, I had just passed my matric. So now, having passed my matric, I still felt like I didn't have enough knowledge to start applying for software development jobs. So, I knew that it was something that I enjoyed and that I loved, but I still had that in the back of my head that,
no, dude, you still need to do a bit more.
And essentially what I wanted was at least a national diploma. Because of that, I decided to register for a national diploma in software development at a nearby university that was close to where I lived at the time. So the course was a 3-year course, and I basically don't want to even lie to you. At that time, I was a lot more advanced than most first years, so that was a total advantage for me in terms of not only programming but other modules as well. So I was a little more advanced, not only in programming but in other modules as well, such as data communication and networking and systems analysis and design. So in terms of most of the first years that were registering at the time, I was a little bit ahead of the game. Even though I learned other programming languages such as C#, Java, and Android development in varsity, the core concepts that revolved around programming languages were already in my grasp, such as your variables, your if statements, your loops. I had already attained a really solid understanding of such things, and for that reason, first year was quite easy for me. So I basically aced my programming modules just as much as I aced the supporting modules, which was awesome for me, except for maths. Maths was just a pain as always, and I just couldn't understand why I had to struggle like that with maths. Even now I still try maths just to try and give myself consolation about how bad I am at it, but it's like still kicking me in the behind. So yeah, first year, second year, and third year went by pretty well for me. In fact, it went by so well that on my second year I became elected to be a supplemental instructor for programming in Java. So I became a supplemental instructor for Java on my second and third year. On my third year again, I could have became also a supplemental instructor for programming in C#, but at the time I have a very good friend who needed the income from that a lot more than I did at the time, so I kind of passed it on to him. And the reason that I passed it on to him was just not because he needed the income. It was because he was also just as qualified as I was. In fact, he was second in line based purely on academics. He was second in line in becoming that supplemental instructor for C#. And that is basically it. That is how I got to graduating for National Diploma in Software Development. And even though I graduated for National Diploma in Software Development, I've yet to attain my actual certificate. And that is due to because I'm still behind on fees. And that was not actually supposed to happen based on my academic performance and the bursary I had at the time. But that is an entirely different story, so I'm just gonna
leave that aside.
Please do let me know in the comments below as to how you got to where you are in your journey of being a software developer. What were your struggles? What were your achievements? Are you self-taught, or did you go through the usual ropes like most of us? Let me know. I'm interested. And also do like the video, especially if you gained something out of it. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, this is dev.log signing off. Peace.